You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Big Brother fans, we have got your latest BB27 spoilers from the veto ceremony. After Keanu used his golden power of veto, somebody went on the block in his place. We know the replacement nominee, and it ties right back into that shocking deal we talked about in our most recent video. It's Belinda, and before we dive in, please click subscribe and be sure and stick around towards the end to hear who is the renom for week 3. We got some other good stuff for you. So the nomination ceremony was Friday, and week 3 head of household Lauren nominated Keanu, Kelley, and Will, the same people who've already seen the block. Not an impressive start to her HOH, especially since it came with meltdowns and tears. Maybe as much as Zach cried. I don't know. Then on Saturday, the POV comp played, and guess what? Despite it being a tricky laser maze, big, old, muscly Keanu conquered it like the dungeon master he is, and he won the golden power of veto. Not only did he win POV, but he's also kind of winning over Rachel Reilly, and that one is even more impressive in my book. And with Lauren knowing that Keanu would definitely use his veto on himself and come down off the block, she was back to hand-wringing, fretting, and trying to figure out what to do, with lots of people trying to take over Lauren's HOH and suggesting the renom, while also insisting it's her HOH and she should do what's best for her game, while in the next moment saying what's best for their game, which is typical Big Brother. So she wanted to put up Ashley, and that actually for a minute seemed like a lock. The thing is, Jimmy really wants Kelley gone, as do others. Somebody threw out Rachel's name. I can't remember who it was, but nobody nibbled. Meanwhile, Keanu won a Bad Guys 2 movie night, and he invited Ava, Jimmy, and Rachel. There were lots of people throwing Ashley's name out as a renom, by the way, including Zach and Vince. And Vince has a final 2 deal with Kelley and with Lauren and with Zach and with Jimmy. That's a lot of final 2s. And for somebody who wore an HOH robe back at home for fun before getting on Big Brother, Lauren's HOH is unproductive as heck and painfully repetitive. Catherine even pointed out to Lauren that by repeat nominating people who have already been on the block and stayed, she is helping them build their resumes, because Keanu now has 2 power of veto wins on his spreadsheet. Even though Casey won one of them for him, that still counts in his stats and in his resume. And now Kelley's building herself a solid little resume too, of being too slippery to evict and winning comps. So Keanu, meanwhile, was hoping to get Lauren to say that they had a deal that they made before the comp where if he won power of veto, she would let him name the renom. So Keanu promised in exchange for her letting him say that, he would play the veto for Lauren's benefit if she's on the block, even if he was also on the block. So Keanu pressed Lauren again about it after movie night because he wanted to use that little tidbit in his veto ceremony speech, but it was a no-go. And, you know, I thought it was real funny when people keep coming to talk to her and she was staring at the screen in the HOH room at the empty dining room table. Nobody was even walking by for her to pretend like she was looking at, but she still focused on it. And it was just the most like 3-year-old thing to do, like, la, 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 I can't see you. Just, I'm not going to look your way. And speaking of movie night, like the villains in the animated film Bad Guys 2, Jimmy was busy plotting how to make sure Kelley goes home this Thursday like a Big Brother bad guy in his own right. Jimmy wanted a strong renom that can definitely beat Kelley in the BB blockbuster so she can't get out of it. Jimmy wants Kelley sitting on the block at Thursday's live eviction with enough votes against her to send her packing. And Jimmy thinks that Adrian is the guy that can win the blockbuster and leave her and Will up for eviction, with Will as an easy save. So Jimmy was also playing Let's Make a Deal with Lauren, and he said Ashley, Morgan, Mickey, and him would offer Lauren safety if she didn't renom Ashley. And then Jimmy sweetened the pot and said he could throw in Rachel as a bonus, and that was powerfully persuasive. A much better deal than Keanu made. So I think it was when he was talking to Vince that Keanu was having to defend his choice of movie dates, which was Ava, Rachel, and Jimmy. And when the live feeds came back up Sunday night after the film, Keanu told Vince he only invited those three so that they would vote the way he wants on Thursday night, which isn't going to happen. He doesn't have that influence. It's kind of interesting that Keanu wants people to think he's running the house even when he knows he's not. Like with wanting to tell people he made that deal with Lauren to choose the Renom, and then him saying he ran Jimmy's HOH. The problem is, if you're a D&D nerd, you know this. Dungeon Masters specialize in control of the game. It takes a certain type of personality to be a DM. And, that is Keanu's back home hobby. You can tell I've played before, probably. I would say I'm a D&D nerd too. But that's not the way reality works in the Big Brother house, but it feels like that's his mindset. He thinks he is a real DM in there, but he's not flipping a D20 for any of this. And in the end, Keanu is only in charge of what he was going to do with the golden power of veto that he won. So the veto ceremony happened pretty early on Monday. The live feeds shut down around 11 a.m. Pacific time, stayed down for about 90 minutes. That's not terribly long. When they came back up, Lauren's renom was confirmed. As expected, Keanu played the POV on himself, taking himself down off the chopping block. That's twice he's escaped eviction in Big Brother 27. And in the end, it looks like Lauren may have taken Jimmy's deal because she renommed Adrian. I mean, it was always going to be either Ashley or Adrian. Those were the only two names that Lauren was heavily weighing against each other. But the BB superfan Adrian is back on the block again. He is heading into the BB blockbuster, which he won last week, and he may win again, although you can't count Kelley out. I'm interested to see if the BB blockbuster is one of those comps that Adrian built in his yard to practice on. In the end, the most interesting result would be for Kelley to win the blockbuster and Adrian and Will to face off Thursday night and give the house a difficult choice, but half the house really wants Adrian to win that blockbuster. So it's Kelley versus Will on Thursday's eviction, and the solo backpacker has to hike out of the BB27 house pre-jury.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.